Pretty crazy to think that this is like the last 4 pages of his whole fishing career's writing right here. It's just weird to see my dad's handwriting.
Have you ever thought about what happens when the cameras stop rolling and the spotlight goes out? People thought the answer would be much lighter for the Cornelia Marie, a boat that was once at the center of Deadliest Catch. It seemed invincible, from fighting dangerous storms to carrying on the Harris family name. But in 2022, Josh Harris told a shocking truth that made everything different. Want to know how everything went? Stick with us to uncover the untold story behind the boat's dramatic fall. The Cornelia Marie's reputation on Deadliest Catch. In the Bering Sea, the Cornelia Marie wasn't just any boat. It became a sign of toughness, faith, and family. It was at the heart of Deadliest Catch for more than 10 years, showing the harsh world of Alaskan crab diving. Captain Phil Harris is a name that many people still remember with awe. He was in charge of the boat. Phil was more than just the ship's captain. He was its heart. He built a name for the boat that made it famous not only among the crew, but also among the millions of people who watched. He was tough on the outside, but very loyal on the inside. His way of leading was different. Tough but fair. And most of all, it was real. People watched him as more than just a captain. They saw him as a dad, a teacher, and a fighter. He had a personal link to the Cornelia Marie in addition to his work one. Because of how he led, a simple fishing boat became a worldwide star. The way Phil ran his ship, though, was what really made the Cornelia Marie stand out. He wasn't just barking directions from the steering wheel. He was in the trenches with his crew, working with them and pushing them to their limits. This made them appreciate him. The way he worked with the team set the tone for the whole show. The Cornelia Marie wasn't just any old boat. It was run by a family. In addition to being captain, Phil was like a father to the crew. He made them feel like they belonged and taught them how to live in a world where every choice could mean the difference between life and death. Fans loved how he could lead with both fierce energy and empathy, and the Cornelia Marie became a symbol of how tough but strong the Bering Sea is. The Cornelia Marie had a heavy heart when Phil Harris died in 2010. Josh and Jake, his sons, were thrown into a part they had not planned for. But they were set on continuing their father's work. They said they would keep the Cornelia Marie going, and that promise was the most important thing for them to do on Deadliest Catch. It wasn't simple. Being in charge of their dad's ship meant living up to his image and making hard choices that no one, not even them, could have imagined. The Harris brothers quickly learned that running the Cornelia Marie wasn't just about fishing. It was about staying alive. Not only did they want to carry on their father's work, they also wanted to show themselves and everyone else that they could honor his memory by becoming the leaders he would have wanted them to be. As a result, they guided the Cornelia Marie through the worst seasons, dealing with both outside pressures and internal conflicts. It stayed in the show's center every season, though, as the Cornelia Marie continued to show how much their father had affected them. Fans still loved the Cornelia Marie, but it wasn't easy to go from Phil to Josh and Jake. The brothers were full of promise, but their father's shadow was still making it hard for them. Many people didn't see the problems they were up against, like the stresses of ownership, the weight of public demands, and personal problems that followed them around everywhere they went. But despite everything, the Cornelia Marie kept going through the rough seas, showing how strong the Harris family is. Then, in 2017, something changed. Because it had been on the show for so long, the boat suddenly disappeared from the screen. Fans were mad, confused, and wanted to know more. Where did the Cornelia Marie go? Why was it no longer in the spotlight? There was no longer the boat that had been the focus of so many seasons of Deadliest Catch. The mystery surrounding its disappearance made things even more interesting. But the story was about more than just a lost boat. There was a secret going on behind the scenes that would shake everything that Deadliest Catch had built. It wasn't just something the makers chose. It wasn't just because of a bad season or bad fishing. No, there was a lot more to the story of what happened to the Cornelia Marie than meets the eye. Everything would change when it came out that Josh Harris was hiding a dark secret from his past. How come the Cornelia Marie was not shown in Deadliest Catch? And what really caused it to be taken off the show? There is a dark secret from 24 years ago that holds the answers. This secret not only ruined Josh's image, but also cast a shadow over the whole Cornelia Marie legacy. In the next part, we'll talk more about the find that shocked fans and how quickly the Discovery Channel took the boat off their network. We'll find the secret that put Josh Harris out of favor and caused the Cornelia Marie to disappear from Deadliest Catch. Prepare for a shocking turn of events that you won't see coming. The Dark Secret. Something shocking came to light in August 2022 and changed everything. A long-buried court record that showed a crime from Josh Harris's past was found after being hidden for more than 20 years. Josh did something very bad when he was only 15 years old. He sexually assaulted a girl. The news hit like a thunderclap, shaking the Harris family and Cornelia Marie's place in Deadliest Catch to their core. The fact that the crime had been kept secret for so long was just as scary as the crime itself. Josh Harris was once the beloved son of Captain Phil Harris. In 1999, he admitted to sexually abusing a 4-year-old girl who was the daughter of a family friend. Josh got a light sentence, 9 months in jail and treatment for 2 years. The crime was so bad that it was like getting a slap on the hand. But for years, this dark past was kept hidden from the public. The truth was kept secret for more than 20 years, behind court papers that no one ever saw. The world was shocked when the papers were finally found. People who had watched Josh grow up on Deadliest Catch and cheered for him as he tried to be like his dad felt let down. The news spread like lightning, and people were angry right away. People thought they were being lied to and wondered how something so important could have been hidden from them for so long. Josh's image, which was based on his ties to his father and the Cornelia Marie, fell apart very quickly. His fans, who had cheered for him and his brother Jake, had a hard time reconciling the man they saw on TV with the man who had kept such a dark past hidden. But Josh's image wasn't the only thing that was hurt. For more than 10 years, the Cornelia Marie had been a symbol of hard work, family, and strength. But now, it was stuck in the middle of the fighting. Everyone was shocked when the Discovery Channel did something that no one saw coming. They cut all ties with Josh Harris and took Cornelia Marie off the show. Fans would no longer see the famous boat, which used to be the show's main focus, fighting the waves and pulling in crab. The boat that had become associated with Deadliest Catch was instantly taken off of both the network and all streaming services. The Cornelia Marie and Josh's roles in it were erased, as if they never happened. Discovery Channel's choice wasn't just based on Josh's past, it was also a reaction to how angry people were. Fans were split as the story spread. Some people thought Josh should be punished for what he did, while others said he had already done his time years ago. But one thing was clear: the Cornelia Marie, which had once been a sign of family and strength, was now a sign of scandal. They both had bad reputations, the boat and Josh. It looked like they couldn't get them back. Josh's own life was also deeply affected by the news. He and his brother Jake had a rough time getting along as they both tried to deal with the fallout. Josh was made fun of in public and was being looked at by the law. It looked like the family that had grown up around the Cornelia Marie was falling apart. It had been so close and strong when Phil Harris was in charge. The family had always owned this boat, but now it was involved in an incident that would follow them all for a long time. But this wasn't just a story about a man's past coming back to haunt him. It was about how painful it is when personal decisions, public scrutiny, and the high stakes of reality TV all come together. Josh Harris had been seen for years as a person who would not give up, even after his father died, because he was determined to carry on the family practice. As soon as the dark secret came out, though, he was seen as something else. The Cornelia Marie had been through many storms, and now it had to fight for its life in a world where honor and character were very important. We'll talk more about how the Discovery Channel responded to the scandal, why Josh was fired from the show, and how this will affect Cornelia Marie's future in the long run in the next part. And believe me, this story is not over yet. Discovery Channel's response. The whole world was shocked when the court papers about Josh Harris's bad past were found. After hearing this, the Discovery Channel responded right away. The network cut all ties with Josh Harris and the Cornelia Marie right away. It only took a few days for the famous boat that had been at the center of Deadliest Catch for over a decade to be taken off the calendar. Almost all episodes that had Josh or the boat were quickly taken off the schedule. It looked like the Cornelia Marie had never been there. There was no sign of the boat that had stood for family, power, and resilience. Fans were shocked and didn't understand why the network acted so quickly. But the truth was that the issue was a risk the network didn't want to take. That wasn't the end of the choice. Streaming services like Hulu and Discovery Plus did the same thing and removed all episodes of Josh and the Cornelia Marie from their libraries. In just a few hours, seasons of Deadliest Catch that used to show the Harris family and their favorite boat were erased from public view. Not having one cast member was more than just a choice. It meant losing a whole tradition. The Cornelia Marie, a boat that had become a name for the show, was now lost in space. The events, moments, and crab hauls were gone. A void was all that was left, which was a metaphor for how quickly things can fall apart when secrets are revealed. People watching saw more than just a boat being lost. It was about losing something real. The Cornelia Marie was more than just a ship. It was an important part of Deadliest Catch. People had seen it fight the waves and weather and carry on Phil Harris's name. They were proud of Josh and Jake as they tried to do what their dad did. It was bad that the boat was never seen again. That was a big change that the Discovery Channel made. Was it just to look good in public? Or was there something more going on? Discovery Channel's choice wasn't just based on numbers or how it looked. It had to do with keeping the show and its viewers good names. Believe in yourself, stay strong, and work hard to build the Deadliest Catch name. Fans had been following the Harris family's story for years, seeing them struggle, fight, and grow. The show had turned into a true, powerful, and accurate account of life on the Bering Sea. But when Josh's past came to light, it made everything look like it might fall apart. A lot of people were angry and upset right away. A lot of viewers felt lied to, and they wondered how Discovery could have let someone with such a bad criminal past be on the show for so long. The network had to cut ties quickly before the scandal could do any more damage to Deadliest Catch's image. Cutting ties with Josh wasn't just about the crime, it was also about what was right. Discovery Channel had to think about the duty that came with being a broadcaster, especially since its show was seen by millions of people. They had to decide whether to keep Josh on the show, which could hurt the brand's reputation, or to be firm and show their viewers that they wouldn't put up with someone with such a long crime record. It wasn't an easy choice, but it had to be made. By breaking ties with Josh and getting rid of Cornelia Marie, Discovery made it clear that the show had to stay true to what it stands for. In order to keep the show's ethics, there had to be a clear separation between the show's business and the guests' private lives. What did the Cornelia Marie do after the scandal, though? Could it stay alive without its well-known name? The next part would show if the boat could rebuild its history without the Harris family at the helm, or if the damage was too great to fix. Things were looking bad for the Cornelia Marie. The story of how it came back would be just as exciting as the story of how it went missing. The Harris family's struggle. When Deadliest Catch came back for a new season in 2017, there was one big thing that wasn't there: the Cornelia Marie. The familiar sights of Josh and his team fighting the rough Bering Sea were gone, and other boats in the fleet took their place. Fans who had been watching every year were shocked. Josh Harris, who had said he would carry on his father's work, was no longer the center of attention. The producer's choice to leave him off the show left a visible hole, which made Cornelia Marie's role on Deadliest Catch less important. Not only was the boat taken away, but so was the whole family history that was so closely linked to the show. People had grown to love the Cornelia Marie, both because it was known as a great fishing boat and because of the Harris family's stakes in the story. Before, Captain Phil Harris was the heart and soul of the boat. He died years ago, and now Josh and Jake were the faces of the Cornelia Marie. Josh was still there, but the boat didn't feel the same without him. A fan favorite, the Cornelia Marie was all of a sudden just another boat in the fleet. It was no longer in the middle of everything. The story went in a different way when the producers of Deadliest Catch switched gears to focus on other boats in the fleet. Ships like the Wizard and Time Bandit came under more attention, and the stories of their leaders and crews took over. Before, the show was all about the Cornelia Marie. Josh was still there, but the boat didn't feel the same without him. A fan favorite, the Cornelia Marie was all of a sudden just another boat in the fleet. It was no longer in the middle of everything. The story went in a different way when the producers of Deadliest Catch switched gears to focus on other boats in the fleet. Ships like the Wizard and Time Bandit came under more attention, and the stories of their leaders and crews took over. Before, the show was all about the Cornelia Marie. Now, it was about new people, new stories, and new rivals. Even though these boats had their own problems and drama, many fans couldn't help but notice that the famous Cornelia Marie wasn't there. Fans were quick to say how they felt about the boat's sudden withdrawal. An important part of the show's DNA for many was the Cornelia Marie. It wasn't just the boat, it was also the link to the Harris family. People had watched Josh and Jake grow up on TV, worked hard with them as they tried to replace their father, and cheered for them every season. The Cornelia Marie wasn't just another ship. It was a character in its own right, and the show wouldn't have been the same without it. Some fans really felt like they had been lied to. They didn't know why the network had ignored the boat and focused on other things. Many people thought that Josh's being kicked off the show was an unfair punishment for a mistake he had made in the past. Even though Josh was going through some personal problems, they thought the Cornelia Marie and its crew should be a part of the activity. Some people thought that leaving the boat was a good thing to do. Putting the attention on other ships brought in new people and stories, which some liked. But for fans who had been following the Cornelia Marie for years, it was hard to say goodbye. It wasn't just the boat that was missing from the show when the Cornelia Marie was not there. It was a sign of a bigger change in Deadliest Catch. Things had to change for the show, which meant making tough choices. The producers had to decide what to do with the show going forward. They could keep the same boats and known faces, or they could bring in new people and new stories to keep things interesting. Fans were split on the choice to focus on other boats, even though it was made to protect the show's future. As the season went on and the Cornelia Marie didn't show up, fans started to wonder if the boat would ever come back. What would it look like if it didn't have the Harris family running it? Fans were afraid that the boat would lose its place in their hearts. Would it be possible to win them back? If you want to know more about what happened after Deadliest Catch left the Cornelia Marie, stay tuned for the next part. Can the boat fix its image and get back to being the great ship it used to be? Or is it too late? Do not stop reading to learn what came next. The return of the Cornelia Marie. Just before the event in 2002, Josh Harris had been through a lot of bad things. After that, things got worse. He didn't just have to deal with the court case that showed he had done bad things in the past. In fact, it looked like everything in his personal life was getting worse. Problems with addiction, getting in trouble with the law, and running out of money added to a load that was already very heavy. Anyone could see, not just the public. Aside from that, Josh had his own problems that were making him feel bad. Josh couldn't get away from the problems he was having with other people, even though he and the boat were well known. Some hints in earlier seasons of Deadliest Catch showed that his addiction got worse after his father died. As his fame made him more stressed, he needed to get away more and more. Once bright future for the family looked like it would be ruined because Josh was stuck in a web of addiction that got stronger every year. Because of his issues, he was arrested, had to go to court, and had to deal with what his acts caused. Things would get worse every time he tried to take back control. But it wasn't just his own worries that were making him unhappy. The Cornelia Marie, the boat that held a lot of history for his family, was also having trouble. After Phil died, Josh and his brother Jake worked hard to keep the boat going, both financially and spiritually. It wasn't easy. There was always work to be done on the boat, and the extra stress of meeting public standards made the costs too high. They fought not only to keep the Cornelia Marie going, but also to show that they could do what their dad did. Things got even worse when there were problems in the family. Corinne Marie Devlin didn't always agree with Josh and Jake. She owned the boat with Phil and used to work with him. A lot of people had different ideas and sometimes even fought about how to run the Cornelia Marie and keep it alive. The business that used to be run by a family was now broken up by fights between workers. As Josh dealt with his harmful substance problem and his many tasks, it looked like the Cornelia Marie was going down. There was a lot of pressure on the ship to do well, and they were having trouble with money and family issues. People knew about Josh's problems at work and in his home life. People even thought about him differently because of them. His good name used to come from his father and the Cornelia Marie, but as his problems grew, it started to fade. Fans who used to cheer for him were not sure what he was doing or if he could continue what his father had started. Everyone knew they could no longer trust Josh. They were let down and had questions instead. It was a painful reminder of the truth that Josh wasn't just trying to keep the boat going, he was also trying to keep his life from coming apart. The Cornelia Marie had once been a sign of family history and strength. The public lost trust very quickly, and what Josh did let down fans who had been following his story for years. The boat that had been the star of the show before was in a lot of danger. Josh's issues with harmful substance and the law changed his personal life and the past of the Cornelia Marie for a long time. It was no longer just fishing. It was finally time to fix things. Many people didn't seem to be able to be helped. New ownership and the future of the Cornelia Marie. The Cornelia Marie started a new journey in 2024. The Harris family owned the boat for many years, but it was sold to a new group of people. It was the end of an era and a painful but important step forward. The Cornelia Marie, which used to be linked to the Harris name, was now part of a new team that was ready to take on the rough waves of the fishing world. When Jake Albanino was named captain, It was one of the biggest changes because it meant a break with the past and a new direction for the boat. As Jake became captain, he wasn't just taking on a leadership role. He was also planning a new path for the boat and its future. The Cornelia Marie could start over now that the Harris family was not in charge. This time, there would be no scandal to hold it back. Since Albinino was a seasoned fisherman with a good track record, he brought a new way of leading that was focused only on the task at hand: fishing. The boat was no longer a sign of chaos on reality TV. It was just another hard-working vessel in the harsh world of Alaskan crab fishing. It was clear what the new owners wanted to do. They came here to fish, not become famous. For a long time, the Cornelia Marie was the center of Deadliest Catch. But the new team didn't want to be in the spotlight of reality TV anymore. They didn't want to follow the cameras or try to get the attention of TV viewers, which would only last a short time. Their only goal was to catch fish, keep the boat in great shape, and carry on the Cornelia Marie's tradition in the same way it had always been done, with skill, hard work, and a sense of duty to the craft. This change in direction was important for the future of the fishing business as a whole, not just the boat. Even though the Cornelia Marie had a rough past, it still had a strong name in the business world for being dependable and able. The boat wasn't just about its time on Deadliest Catch. Now that it had a new owner, it had to prove its worth every day on the water. The boat would no longer be tied to the drama or the attention of the people. It would then go back to what it was made for, which is fishing. The new people who bought the boat also knew that the damage from the past could not be fixed quickly. The Cornelia Marie was stained by scandal, and the Harris family's personal problems were linked to the ship's history. It wasn't lost, though. Behind the scenes of reality TV and away from the cameras, the boat could still make a name for itself in the fishing world. With Jake Albinino in charge, the Cornelia Marie started to find its place again as a symbol of strength in a business where success is never a given. Now is not the time to run away from the boat's past. It's time to embrace a future based on the harsh facts of life at sea. The new people who own the Cornelia Marie aren't afraid of the ship's past, but it also doesn't define them. In the fishing community, the boat is still looked up to, and Albinino is continuing to show that it is worth being led. The Cornelia Marie may not be in the public eye as much as she used to be, but that's a good thing. Not after the fame it used to have, but after what really matters: the work, the crew, and the fishing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories. Click on the next video popping up on your screen to dive deeper into the Deadliest Catch saga.